questions I want to make sure that get in here, because I think they're quite good. These are actually from you, Elliot. One of them was around negotiation, right? And the question was, what is the typical difference between a first offer on a business and the price that is agreed upon in the LOI? How much of that price difference does the buyer impact by shrewd negotiations, and can Guardian help with that?
Sure. So one of the great things about Guardian is our deal advisory services are wrapped around all of our financial due diligence products. So you can probably tell you guys aren't talking to a CPA who grew up in the land of audit. I'm a deal person that sort of understands how this stuff goes. So probably 20% of most of my financial due diligence projects are me talking to the client about how to negotiate something, how to pull things into or take things out of a LOI, given a particular bespoke situation, a deal, how to stop a seller from sending you one piece of data each day. How to go from being nice to mean on a Tuesday to really shock value and get things moving. So we help negotiate for sure. So if I start from price being what's listed on a deal site or what the broker initially tells you or what the seller initially tells you and what ends up in the LOI, we're probably talking about, it can vary as much as, 40 or 50%. And what does that mean? That means that there's huge volatility in the information that you're presented in the confidential information memorandum relative to what you're presented in all subsequent data. And then if we go forward kind of from LOI to close, you also have another probably 20 or 30% of wiggle room. How much of that is shrewd negotiation? A lot of it. And I think it can be tough for people who haven't sort of negotiated in free space. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times in our working environments, there's sort of, there's a referee called HR, or it's, plus 10%, minus 10%, and a great valuation mechanism. Like in real estate, you get an appraisal and it's pretty easy. You go up 10%, down 10%, but there's no real true appraisal in business acquisitions. In fact, the first time the SBA asked me to get a business acquisition, it was done by a 28-year-old kid in Minneapolis. I mean, I still laugh about that. 28-year-old kid in Minneapolis.
Well, good thing he moved out of the house before he forgot more than mom and dad.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the sheet of paper they were trusting to say, oh, the valuation that Elliot put together is solid. I think shrewd negotiation, I'm a huge fan of How to Win Friends, Influence People, the book. And it dictates sort of how I have conversations in almost any capacity. I think for a seller who's a proud man or woman, a broker who's playing prima donna early in the process before you've earned their trust, right? Because they don't know who you are. And people lie about having the money all the time. If you speak in the interest of the seller, I think you end up getting the best outcome. So I think one of the biggest things about this process is understanding what is the number they want to go tell their friends at the country club or the family reunion versus what are the number they need to get at close to feel comfortable versus how do you structure everything in between as favorably for you as possible without ruffling too many feathers. And so price is one piece of that negotiation, but to me, almost anything outside of cash at close is you paying the seller with cash that you would not have had you not bought the company. And so to me, the price is one thing, the cash at close is different. And so I'm anchoring on the cash at close. I almost don't care about the price to a certain extent.
That's a great distinction.